Good evening. How y'all doing? Thanks for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Valente, and joining us is AJ. Hi,
Hey,
IJ. I.
I don't know. I'm running out of
eh,
ideas. So if you have any audience that are not rude, um, I don't mind suggestions.
mm. I'm thinking of one. Awesome.
I used to do awesome one spelled or Juan, like one.
Awesome one. All right, very nice. I
Yeah,
like that. That would
yeah.
work. All right. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I, I,
Yeah.
I I spent some time with some pagans yesterday, and
Yeah,
my soul feels a little happier. So that's great.
that's awesome. So, what'd you do with the pagans yesterday?
So it's called Ostera for them, but essentially you have you have eh, their own celebration. We're celebrating like spring equinox. So,
Nice.
but they
Yes.
did have egg hunts for the kids and for the adults.
Yeah, so spring equinox, so the end of winter is coming. Now, one thing I like to point out when people get pissed off at the groundhog in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, predicting 6 more weeks of winter, when they pull the groundhog out of the ground,
There is
technically, there's already
still
6 weeks of winter
6 weeks.
left. Like there,
Exactly.
you're not getting anything different. So, yeah,
Janice knows what I'm talking about.
Sarah, yeah. So spring equinox, end of winter. Thank God. Um, I'm actually gonna rub a butt tonight and cook it up as in the morning and have some pulled pork tomorrow. So
Well,
it
in
is
honor
also
of spring coming, I'm wearing my socially acceptable blanket because
nice.
springtime in Tennessee means it's dropping down to like 27 degrees.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's gonna be any warm weather or anything like that. Hey, Craig, how you doing? Get the chat overlay going up here. There we go. Look at that. Professional. Professional. I
nice.
gotta move everything. So all right. So this week we're talking about the environment. We've lost Dan, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But so we're talking about the environment this week, and I wanted to talk about it last week, but of course, all the global banking stuff hit the fan, and wanted to talk about that before that became too much of an issue. Which one should I go with? Let's do this one. Oh, that's pretty. Yay. Okay. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about the environment, when we haven't covered it too much, we had a couple of things back in the day where we had uh, a guy from the Libertarian Party at the time talking to us about the COP 24 or 21 conference. Um, but we really haven't covered the environment too much. Um, what are your thoughts on the environment, AJ?
I have heard about, we were always told to recycle growing up and that would make the difference and all of that. And, we do participate in that. Our recycling center has the special bins where we put things, and we've always done that.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure I'm making a dent in the environment, as it were, when you have celebrities that use jets to, go have lunch in another country or whatever.
Sure.
I I'm not saying that I'll stop, but I do feel, a little bit like, my little Corolla footprint is not a lot compared to
Exactly.
these other people. So, I mean, yes, absolutely, we should save the planet. It's literally the only one that we can live on, but,
Yes.
you know
When you think that the closest star system is Alpha Centauri, we don't know if there are any habitable planets on that, and it would take us decades to reach that if we were traveling at the speed of light,
Yes.
which we are nowhere near traveling the speed of light. The furthest thing out from the planet is Voyager 1, and it is, I think, like less than 2 light minutes away from planet Earth. So it's not that far in the grand scheme of things, and that's the furthest thing we've put out there. So yes, April 22nd is Earth Day. Um, Earth Day. to me, I think it's kind of a wasted day. Let me give you kind of where I'm at with the environment. Yes, we definitely need to save the planet. Yes, I do believe in uh, global warming, and I'm going to tell you the difference between the two terms that you often hear, because both terms are valid. Um, there is little debate that the planet is warming in temperature. Mean temperature over time has been warming for a long time. I do believe that carbon monoxide emissions and things like that have impacted it and continue to impact it. Um, uh, there are things that we can do to mitigate what we're doing, but I don't think that we're. I think that companies that can do it aren't doing it because they want the government to pay for it. And we'll talk about government interference in the environment in a little bit, but let's talk about global warming versus climate change because those are the two big terms that we hear when we talk about the environment. So global warming, like I said, is happening. We are seeing the planetary rise of temperatures on average um, by it doesn't sound like a ton, like a degree or degree and a half. Doesn't sound like a ton, but it impacts global, ecological systems. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, uh, creates more storms, creates stronger storms, creates all kinds of stuff. Climate change is the impact of global warming. Now, what we hear every time that there's a snowstorm is, "Oh, oh, oh, let's come."
Oh, global warming, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, no, no.
I was just
There's
thinking that when you said it.
a cold day. Oh, this is cold. Global warming must be global. The planet is warming. It is impacting the climate, which is causing climate change. So you're seeing growth in deserts, larger desertification of
Mm,
the deserts that already exist in places that were once um, uh, had water are having issues with water. We're having issues out west with water. First it was there wasn't enough. We had the bad drought this summer, and we see all the fires that result from that. But now
yeah.
we see the strong winter storms that are coming, and just dumping inches upon inches of snow on the Sierra Nevadas and a lot of California. I got a friend that went up to the Lake Tahoe region this last week, and the pictures he was showing me were insane. Like, I've never seen snow like that, except for, like, you'll see a picture every once in a while of, like, Norway, northern Norway, where they get, 15 feet of snow and nobody blinks an eye, and they just carve a tunnel through the snow with you see a large bus going through it, and there's, like, another 5 feet of snow above it. Um, you know, but you're seeing this in California. And here's the thing with California is that the soil has been so dry for so long that it's gonna need a slow melt to be able to accept all that moisture. If
Mhm.
not, what's gonna happen is just landslides. You're gonna see landslides happening every day, just because the water can't take all the moisture. It's been eroded due to, lack of moisture over the years, and some of these places that have trees with weak root systems are just not gonna be able to hold the land, and you're gonna see landslides out there. Janice is out there in California. I'm sure she can vouch for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have a reduce, reuse, and what is the other
And
recycle?
recycle.
I always forget the three R's. Um, Actually, I posted a meme last night which had the reduce, reuse, recycle, and then the fourth R, rot. But yeah, Heidi says poor people have been environmentally friendly for generations, recycling
Mhm.
cans, bottles, newspapers, shutting off lights and faucets, of course. If it's yellow, keep it mellow. Yeah, brown, flush it down. Yep, absolutely. I mean, the poor people are the ones who do the vast majority of the environmental recycling and things like that, taking care of the environment. You see all these celebrities that preach to us about environmental responsibility, as you had mentioned. But they go to their conferences in private jets. They have massive yachts that uh, sa sail the ocean. I mean, what we're seeing, and I think, if you see an actor living a more austere lifestyle and, doing the environmentally friendly things, I think that makes a much greater impact. But when you see a Hollywood star preaching from on high, or you see Al Gore preaching from on high about the environment, and then you see them take a jet to Davos, or take it to Aspen. Um, what kind of message is that sending? It just says, rules for thee, none for me. So that causes a lot of resentment from people that they want to do the right thing, but then you say, well, what difference is me throwing a can in a blue, a soda can into a blue can versus my trash can? What is that going to make? Um, so yeah, there is something to be said about the example that people that have been telling us to be more environmentally friendly have been setting. And the government's been trying to tell us to be more environmentally friendly. I mean, it depends on the administration. The Trump administration wasn't so keen on environmental awareness.
No. No, they were not very keen on the environment. They were
But
like,
I
"Burn
mean,
it down, fuck it." Yeah, it was
even,
awful.
yeah, even the Bush administration was somewhat, okay with the environment. They weren't as good as, what you want to see from a government saying, hey, we need to clean shit up. Um, But even the Obama administration and the Biden administration haven't done fantastic jobs stewarding the
No.
environment. We'll I'll have a stat here in a minute that kind of illustrates what the government's doing. But here's the reason why I wanted to bring up the environment is that we are not doing really well in mitigating what's going on right now. There's just no um, there's no follow through with anyone to actually, at least higher up, to make the planet better, make deal with the recycling, because like we recycle, um, the where you have it. We don't have it in our community. We don't have a recycling program. I'd like to see one. Um, but where we do recycle, the problem is that a lot of times they take it to the dump and it goes in the damn trash with the rest of the trash. Like there's just not enough capacity to recycle,
Yes.
and they've never had the capacity to recycle in the amount that we would be able to recycle. So, um, commitments to building more, recycling centers and using more recycled products, I think, is something that we sorely need to be able to keep up with the demand, because the demand is there. People want to do the right thing and sort their trash and make sure that stuff that can be reused is reused, but we're not seeing it. It's,
Hmm.
it's frustrating.
I do wonder if the people that, you know, don't actually recycle, they mix it all together and take it off, are not winning those county bids by saying that they're going to, we're going to take care of this problem for you. And most of what comes down to, as far as I'm concerned, at least me the last couple of weeks, ask me in a couple more, I may change my mind. But
That's
last couple of weeks, I think the government's greedy. I think that there's money
for sure.
involved, and it's just about money. Like, we could do a lot more for the environment, but it's gonna cost us this.
Yeah.
And is it gonna be worth it in the long run? And da 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 da. And it's so much cheaper to do it this way. And oh, we've got to save taxpayer money. They're gonna take it from us any fucking way. Like they're going to take the money from us. That they have shown that time and time again. You know, and it is the poor people that know how to recycle because that's how we survive.
Exactly.
Because what else does the government do? They tax our overtime at a higher rate. They tax our bonuses at a higher rate. And then they accept bids from the companies that aren't going to recycle and aren't going to save our planet. Because what the fuck do they care? They're going to be able
Literally.
to like catch a ride with Elon Musk to wherever the fuck.
Well, and they do empty things like, so there's a famous video on the internet of a turtle with a straw in its nose and somebody pulling out. You hear the turtle screaming, and it's awful. One of the worst videos I've ever seen. mean, yeah, every time I see it, I'm like, "Oh my god, my nose." It is awful. Don't watch it. But that video caused a bunch of places to put bans on plastic straws. Now, if you are living in a coastal city, okay, I can see the ban on plastic straws. If you are living in the hinterlands, like even where I'm at, I'm 100 miles from the coast, but still far enough away from the coast, that straw isn't going to make it out into the ocean. Now, I hate using paper straws. I think they're useless. I like straws, but paper straws suck. Um, but you used all of this political capital to ban plastic straws when most of that, the one of the big things that people like to point out is this plastic ring in the Pacific Ocean of, just all the plastics that have been tossed off and have gone into the ocean are just in this swirling ring because of the currents, and a swirling ring of plastic debris in the ocean. And it's stripping down the plastics, but it's turning into microplastics, which the fish eat, and it gets into the food supply and all that stuff. Look, I get it, but if you look at a majority of the plastic that's being put in the ocean, it's not being put in by the United States. Most of the plastic in the ocean is being put in by China and Japan, at least on the Pacific side.
Is it
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah, most of that stuff is Chinese and Japanese. Just Japan, you're on a rock. Like, there's not much place to put trash. Um, it's either burn it or bury it in the limited arable land on Japan. Um, and China, same way. There's not really like a vast environmental consciousness in China. Not to the level of the United States because they're still developing. They're still trying. They want to make their economy grow to the point that it's like the United States, but there still isn't that level of environmental consciousness that we see in the United States. Now, is the United States perfect when it comes to recycling and getting rid of trash? No. For decades, we dumped crap where we wanted to dump it, and there are still places in the United States where we're dumping stuff into rivers, we're dumping stuff into oceans, and yes, that stuff needs to be dealt with. Banning a plastic straw, if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, or if you're in Terre Haute, Indiana, it doesn't really make whole lot of sense. So, don't waste effort when it comes to environmental things with some of these feel good measures that don't do anything in the grand scheme of things. Do the big stuff. Do the stuff that is actually going to impact. Um, you know, uh, and the impacts are going to be coming. For us in as far as climate change and global warming are they're already here. We're already seeing them. They may not hit the United States all the time, but they're happening all across the world. I'm not blaming earthquakes on global warming or anything like that. I'm blaming like massive storms. Like Africa just had a massive storm that went on the went on the shore whenever Madagascar, came over the shore in Mozambique, um, went up into Mozambique, came off the shore, gathered strength again, came back on the shore of Mozambique and hit it again.
Hmm.
Um, and just did all kinds of devastation and went up into Malawi. It's not a it, these storms are coming and they're coming much harder, much faster. New Zealand just got hit by a massive cyclone. United States has been getting hit by massive hurricanes more and more frequently. So we're seeing that. We're seeing drier weather. The global extremes between our El Nino times and our La Nina times and in between, where we're seeing dryness in the western part of the country has gotten much worse. Now my hope is with all the weather that they've been getting in California in the western part of the country that some of the aquifers like the Ogallala Aquifer or the reservoirs like um, the Colorado River continue to get more water, Lake Mead, um, because the pictures we saw in the last few years, that's not sustainable. And where they're starting to pull bodies out of water because the water's gotten so low that they can start seeing bodies that have been dumped into the reservoirs. Um,
Oops.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but yeah, that's my hope is that, the what we've seen with the water is going to replenish, but we're still in a cycle right now where we're continuing to do bad things, to continue to get more crap in the atmosphere that is going to continue to warm the planet. And you're going to start seeing, because as the planet warms, what happens is more water gets put into the atmosphere. Bigger storms happen. Um, maybe it's a good thing for the West where it changes the climate in the West to a more verdant climate, but we can't be too sure for that. And it's not.
how long is it gonna take?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take
Yeah.
a long time, like, we won't be here for that to become a verdant land, but, um, it
Will this be
happens.
the tragedy part of it?
What's
The
that?
landslides and the hundreds of
Oh,
thousands
yeah.
of people
We'll
displaced and
we'll
yeah.
we'll see
Oh,
the
that sounds
tragedy.
great. This timeline's awesome.
Yeah,
This is fucking fantastic,
yeah.
really.
I
Like
mean 'cause, I mean, there are other impacts, like global ice shelves that are melting and going,
Mhm,
we're seeing the runoff into the oceans. One, uh, you know all that ice that's on top of these things. Yeah, some of these are sitting in salt water. They're in the ocean. Um, but the problem is like the top ice levels of this are fresh water because it's snow that's been impacted down on top of it for decades and millennia. Once that stuff starts melting into the water, you're starting to see an imbalance of the salinity of the water, and you're starting to see of course, more cooler water going into the water. You're starting to see changes in the I hate to use a term, but jet streams of the ocean, the currents of the ocean. You're starting to see impacts of that, which is why you're starting to see storms hitting. Like New Zealand hadn't had many cyclones hit. You're starting to see cyclones hit New Zealand. Um, Maybe Florida gets spared now because the currents have changed and they start hitting further up the coast or they start hitting further down into southern South America, the southern part of the Caribbean. um, we don't know
mhm.
what the impacts are, but we do need to be cognizant of it. And if you're in a coastal city, you do need to be cognizant of the fact that putting on that much water, not just yeah, you can say, well, an ice cube melting into water is not going to raise the water of the glass. You're right, but there's a ton of ice that's sitting on land that's going to melt and push that water into the ocean. The streams and rivers carry that stuff into the ocean. You're going to see water levels rise. So if you're in a coastal city, there could be impacts in your city. We're gonna have to learn how to deal with that kind of stuff if we don't deal with the rising temperatures. Now, I do think that when you look at the environment, when you talk about, okay, well, when it gets hotter, the water evaporates, gets up in the atmosphere, and comes back down as rain. Basic meteorology. Okay, I think that's the Earth trying to heal itself, and that is trying to cool itself down more. So you're going to see more clouds, and maybe that helps mitigate it. But if we continue to have, global temperatures rise, I think it's going to get past the ability for the Earth to heal itself, get past the ability for the storms and stuff that it creates um, to that really will help rather than hurt. You don't want a massive storm obliterating the coast. You don't want a massive storm obliterating Miami or New Orleans as we've seen. Um, you want healing rains, just normal rain showers coming through. Um, but what we've seen this year. I mean, this year alone, we think of storms in terms of hurricanes and things like that. But we've seen just snow this year and in different places, like my neck of the woods, we every year we usually get some snow. We haven't seen any snow this year, at least any real measurable snow. But if you talk about Buffalo, and Buffalo gets snow, but Buffalo's gotten some massive snow this year. Or I'm going to say this year, referring to it more as the
Like
winter,
the last
fall. Yeah, the
4 or
last.
5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What we're seeing in California, but, the upper Midwest has been seeing a ton of snow. I mean, there's
Mhm.
we're seeing storm after storm kind of queuing up on the West Coast and just
Well,
hitting.
so much of the Midwest and South was hit with that Arctic snap, right
Mhm.
before Christmas.
Oh
That
yeah,
had never happened before. I'm telling my friend in Colorado, and she grew up here in Tennessee. She's like, "Y'all don't have the infrastructure for that shit." And I was like, "We do not.
no,
We do not." She was like, "So maybe they should figure that out because that might become a more common occurrence."
could
Absolutely,
be.
it could.
Yeah, I mean,
We got tornadoes all summer, and then in the winter we have little Arctic snaps,
yeah,
where, where you don't turn your faucets off for that one. You leave them dripping ever so slightly
yes,
to keep them from not freezing, but not costing you a crazy amount in the water bill. It's just there's so much that needs to go into this, so much thought that needs to go into it. And when I was growing up, it was constantly we talked about, alternative sources of energy and why aren't we seeing more and more and more? We do have solar panels, like, quite a bit here in Warren County,
yeah.
but I don't see them as much as I thought I would. Like, growing up, I just assumed everybody would have that by the time I was, like, whatever my age is now.
Yeah,
Um
well, I think the problem with solar, and I actually like solar. I think that's a viable energy use, and I think every home being built right now should have solar panels installed on the home
Mhm.
for it to be self sufficient energy wise. Why it's not happening? Part of it's government, part of it's the contractors building these houses, the companies that are building these houses, or don't want that added expense. Um, and homeowners, I mean, if you're buying a house, you may not want uh, solar panels on your house. I get that, but it should be an option for homeowners being building their houses now. And we never were approached when we were building our house about getting solar panels done, and I wish we had because um, our energy company that's local is a joke. So, I would
Mm.
have liked to have been able to get out from under them. But, and we're
So
also talking about lobbying efforts from these energy companies, because they don't want people becoming self-sufficient on
oh,
energy.
no. That
In
would be
my
terrible,
state
wouldn't it?
yeah, well, in my state, if you start talking about energy independence and getting off of the grid as far as energy goes, you will have every politician in the state screaming about coal because we're the big coal store. Coal is still king in West Virginia. Um, it's there are so many perverse actors within the system that there's reasons why we're not seeing any action on global warming and really stuff that really prevents us from doing more when it comes to global warming. They'd rather have a corporation come in and build a bunch of solar panel farms, you know, why their own energy and not contribute money as far as money to that corporation, money in taxes and things like that. Because that's another thing with those bills, you get just a ton of different taxes stuffed into them, and that
Oh, yeah.
denies the state income. So it's very frustrating. Like there's so many things that are going on with the government. And let me give you a stat. I alluded to this earlier. So
Oh, yes.
no, I sent you this, and I'm gonna put this out to the audience. We got a good group here. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Janice. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Craig. We got a good group out here. So, in the comments, predict the top 3, well, actually, predict the top polluter by, the word's escaping me right now, by industry. It probably won't shock anybody, but the top 3 of the top 4 are in the same industry. We got oil and gas industry. I will say that's actually wrong. Not even the top 4. All right. Well, I'll just spill the beans here then. The largest see before retiring with K through 6 with students who are extremely interested in Earth's condition. Yeah, I mean, the younger people are very much interested in environmental causes, environmental issues.
Mhm.
It does come to a point when you get older. It's like the whole talk about when you're younger, you're more liberal, older, more conservative. You know,
I mean,
you start getting the propaganda from your industry saying, "Well, if you do all this stuff, then your job's gonna go away." So it does become they are able to put those hooks into you that, "Hey, if you advocate for this stuff, you may lose your job." So you can put your can into the recycling bin, that's cool, but you won't have money to buy those cans. So, there is influence within the industries. So, but the top 3 are all electric companies. So it's American Electric Company, Duke Power, and the Southern Company. Now Southern Company does have some oil and gas industry, stuff, but, mainly, built off of electric grid stuff. Um, Not a surprise. Guess who the number 4 is? And we've talked about them a little bit, and that's
we talk
the
smack about them pretty consistently, actually.
yeah, we do, for reasons, and, that is the US government. So the US government is, the number 4 polluter, despite all the pronounces, despite all the, depending on who's in power, we've got right now we've got Joe Biden in power. We're still number 4. At least the
Mm,
federal government is still number 4 when it comes to pollution. And of course, the number 1 polluter is the defense industry. They run heavy machinery that is not, they're not running hybrid tanks. You know,
yeah.
they're not running hybrid jets.
There's also the burn pits. I
Of
mean,
course.
if you think about the burn pits, we have completely changed countries. We have completely changed the environments around anywhere that we were deployed essentially for the burn pits. Like our soldiers come home and have these awful, awful diseases,
Oh yeah.
these terrible respiratory things for the rest of their lives, higher risk of cancer, but they get to leave. They get to come home away from the burn
Mhm.
pits. We're leaving those there.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
those
it's
people are getting the cancers, and those people are getting the respiratory illnesses, and it's
exactly.
in the food, it's in the ground.
Yeah.
Like, they are never gonna recover from that. It's no wonder people don't like the United States. I'm just saying, you know?
No,
It's
and
not just us.
that's a fair thing because, I mean, when you look at we just passed the PACT Act, which pays more or pays benefits to a lot of these, and they've been doing more for, some of these, burn pits and things like that, but rare cancers, skin stuff and asthma, rhinitis, um and then the PACT Act came and they're doing a whole lot more for many different conditions, to service connect veterans and give them one, pay them a monthly stipend in compensation, and then two, medical benefits for them for the life. Same thing they did with Agent Orange in Vietnam, and that was part of the PACT Act is enhanced Vietnam benefits as well, and radiation benefits. But um, I don't think that the US government has ever paid anything to the Republic of Vietnam, Democratic Republic of Vietnam, for Agent Orange. We do pay benefits to veterans for Agent Orange and their
I'm
children.
sorry. I'm sorry. Please remind me. When was Vietnam? So we can
Ah,
do the math on that. How long have those people been waiting on benefits?
yeah, so Vietnam, was, technically 1961 through 1975.
Oh, that's
I
been just a moment. Just just
Been
just
a
a little
little bit.
bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Mm.
Um, and I don't think anything's gone to the people of Vietnam for the stuff that's happened. I think Vietnam sued the manufacturer of Agent Orange, but I don't know if anything ever happened with that.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Wait. Wait. Okay. I grew up in the age of school shootings where we can't blame the manufacturer of the gun, but Vietnam doesn't get anything from us, the people that actually caused the issues. They get to sue the manufacturer of Agent Orange. Did you just say that?
Well, they
Am
should
I
have. I
understanding
mean,
that?
Honestly, they should. Yeah, Agent Orange was an absolutely awful, and remember
Absolutely.
what happened, what they did with Agent Orange, after the war is they dumped it in the Ohio River, so that is still floating around down in the Ohio. Never fish the Ohio River, I would just say that right now. But,
Did they have hairy eyes, or was that The Simpsons?
who knows? I would rather fish out of a
Thank you,
waste
Janice.
pond of a nuclear facility than the Ohio River, and pretty much
So
most of the rivers in West Virginia just because of pollution from the coal industry, but, that's a different story for a different day. Um,
so many stories. I'm
yeah,
sorry, I keep getting us off track because 'cause I'm like,
no,
"Wait a
no, no,
minute."
no, this is great. So one of the things that we had a show, very early on in the political deep dive days, we had James Ray on talking about thorium. It was an interesting show. James is an interesting
I
dude.
bet.
But James talked about thorium-based nuclear energy, and I think the future of clean energy is not just all of us having solar panels, because you still need energy for other things. Uh,
Absolutely.
I think clean thorium-based nuclear power is the future. Now, again, what is stopping this from being developed? Because it's right now it's still very much theoretical. I know China has experimented with building a thorium-based nuclear facility. Um, the cool thing about thorium is that if you have a thorium reactor, the stuff that you're producing doesn't. Um, yeah, it was 73 was when we pulled out, but 75 was the official end of hostilities. Uh,
This is my favorite audience.
yeah, they're
Yes,
they're more
they're
knowledgeable,
on it.
but yeah. So thorium. You could produce just tons and tons of nuclear energy off of thorium and not have any fissile material to build a bomb with. Um, this is something that you could theoretically, now again, this a lot of this is theoretically, but you can build a reactor um, that's supposed to be very safe. Like the way that they're designed, a meltdown won't cause a major ecological disaster. There's plugs and things like that um, will prevent like a meltdown like Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island or something along those lines. And we'll have to have somebody on, maybe James or somebody else on about thorium to explain it better than I do. Um, but yeah, thorium based nuclear energy, I think, is the long range future of energy. But the problem is, no one wants to build it
Yeah,
because the interference of the government. Um, they want the United States government to foot the bill of building these factories, these nuclear thorium-based nuclear reactors, and they want the government to take all the risk of doing it and then benefit all on the back end by selling that energy at a premium to everybody. Um, the early adopters of this will get very rich. Whoever steps into this realm and say, okay, we're going to build a yeah, you're right, Heidi. Agent Orange is a nasty thing. There's spina bifida in children of Vietnam veterans, higher rate of polycystic ovarian syndrome in women, children of Vietnam veterans. Yeah, it was a very nasty thing. So, um, but uh, whoever builds the first thorium-based nuclear reactor is going to be a very rich person. If they can prove that the thorium-based nuclear reactor works, produces energy, produces it cleanly, and produces it safely with little risk of major nuclear meltdown, um, the world is going to beat a path to their door because that is very the availability of thorium is much greater and much more abundance in a far-flung range of countries, including China, including the United States, including most of the current nuclear powers. You have this energy that's there in abundance that you're going to be able to uh, uh, power the world and do it in a way that's much safer than what we're doing right now, even with coal, even with. oil and gas and all that fun stuff. It's going to have to be. Um, I would prefer a 18 millimeter with a mini nuclear thorium reactor to an electric one. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole question is whether it's going to be self-driving or not. So, um, but uh, yeah. So thorium, I think, is going to be the long-term future of energy. It's just getting that first company to do it. But I do think that eventually some government's going to cave, and I think it sounds like China's doing it right now to you know prove that this is going to work. If China does it, they're going to get the jump on us for decades because they're not going to give us the keys to the kingdom to do thorium-based nuclear reactors. Although thorium-based nuclear reactors aren't, a military advantage; they're more of a competitive advantage as far as energy needs are.
Well, that's what I was about to say. If you want the American government, the United States government to pay for anything, show them how they can use it against us or make a weapon out of it and use it against us or other people. I mean, you know, can you make a big pretty gun out of it? Because then you'll get them right on board.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah, I mean there's so many stories about how things have been developed. Government has stepped in to help develop new technologies, benign
mhm,
technologies, but they can see a military application to it.
absolutely.
That's when the government steps in and starts doing it. So, yeah, thorium
Absolutely.
resources are throughout the world. Um, I might have to have Janice on to talk about thorium. She's dropping knowledge here.
We
Look at
should
all.
have Janice on to talk about anything ever. She's
Yes,
so interesting.
yes,
So
absolutely.
smart. She must read all the time.
I know. All right. Let's see. What time are we at? 10:42. You ready for the quiz?
We'll see what happens.
I know.
Oh,
So
it is like
I
a month
really
without Facebook, so we'll see. Like,
I really, have not paid I mean, I paid a little bit of attention to the news, but just really skimming stuff, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with this
since
one. So let
I've
me
paid a little
share.
attention.
Let me share.
I've read headlines enough to be really bitter about the government, even more so.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, you people are pissing me off.
Alright, gotta get rid of the, chat
Comments for now.
window. Yeah, chat window for now. We'll post some comments as we get them. Let us bring
Okay.
in the news quiz.
Okay.
Alright, so
Flooding.
context clues, we got flooding, we got singing. I think that's the Oscars.
I
And then
didn't
we
watch
got
the Oscars.
I didn't either. We were doing the show, so, it was people in a queue of some sort. I don't know if that was for the airport or something. It looked like it was in China. Let me
It definitely
scroll
looked like Asian symbols.
yeah, so I see Chinese symbols up here. Do this. And which film swept stories at the Oscars?
Oh,
I actually know this one. It's The Woman King,
I do.
The
Everything,
Glass
everywhere,
Onion,
all at
Top of
once.
the Screen. Yes,
Mhm.
Everything Everywhere All at Once won it. Babylon did not win it. Yeah, they
Yay.
won most of the big awards, including Best Picture, directing. Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress in a leading role. Kei Hu Kwan and Jamie Lee Curtis won Best Actor and Actress in supporting roles. Kei Hu Kwan was his
Short
short round.
round.
It was short round.
Yeah.
Was he the kid in Goonies too?
Um, not Goonies. He was in, oh crap, Encino Man.
Oh, okay. All right. Question number two. We're off to a good start. Last week we biffed on two questions like right out the gate. So
Oh,
question number two. Many Americans were on edge this week following the collapse of which two banks? Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, Chase Bank and Wells Fargo Bank, PNC and Citizens Bank, or Huntington Bank and US Bank. I know this.
Silicon Valley Bank
Yep.
and Signature Bank.
Yep.
Apparently
Really
Sharon
collapse of
Stone.
two banks. Um, there was news today. We did the show last week on banking. There's news this week that Credit Suisse, international lender, uh, needed rescuing, and it turns out that some international bank is taking it over, so they're going to buy them out. So it prevents them from going under. Um, Jada's got the question right as well. Very good.
Yay.
All right, question number 3. Which state was hammered by atmospheric river event this week, prompting widespread evacuations? Uh, Pretty sure I know this one. Idaho, Utah, Georgia, or California? I'm thinking it's California.
I feel like California makes the most sense, but
California knows how to party. Yes. California counties were under a state of
oh,
emergency due to
wow.
excessive rain and flooding. All right, question number 4. President Joe Biden greenlit a massive oil drilling venture in Alaska this week. What is it called? The Birch Project, the Willow Project, the Spruce Plan, or the Cedar Plan? I know this one, I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Jada's got it too on that one.
Mhm.
I believe it's the Willow Project. Yes. Biden administration approved the controversial
Controversial.
Willow project in Alaska. It is massive and decades-long oil drilling venture in Alaska's North Slope in the National Petroleum Reserve, which is owned by the federal government. Um,
So the whole environment thing we were talking about earlier. Hmm. Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah. I mean the Willow project. Well, I mean, first thing, this is literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's if anybody's ever watched Ice Road Truckers, these drilling things are. I have a friend on here. I don't know. He's been on the show, but Rusty Holland worked some of the Alaska stuff up in Barrow, and it's literally middle of nowhere. It's scary. Uh, your neighbors are polar bears. All right,
Well, don't
question.
fuck it up for the polar bears.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Polar bears have been suffering. Question number 5. Many of the US and many other countries recently sprang forward to daylight savings time. Clocks were moved forward by how much time? Oh, come on, really? This is cheapy. Thanks. Clocks were moved forward by an hour. They fall back to standard time. Unfortunately, on the first Sunday of November, um, just in time for well, not this year, although there are some states that are doing local elections, but they always do it the weekend before the presidential election or any political election, which sucks because you get another hour of advertising. Uh,
That's a good point. There's legislation in certain states for us to not do that. There's one going
yeah,
through
well,
Tennessee, and who the fuck knows?
you can, UBS bought Credit Suisse. Um, yeah, you can. A state can vote to get rid of daylight savings time.
Mhm.
But it
Like,
has to go.
Arizona doesn't do this crap.
Arizona didn't do this crap to begin with, I think.
Yeah.
I think they've always backed out of it. I know New York tried to get rid of daylight savings time. Actually, they wanted permanent daylight savings time, and they were like, yeah, it's too dark in the winter. Um, but I mean, for me, I'd prefer, the hour on the back end of the day. So having permanent savings time versus, you know, sun coming up still at 5 o'clock in December, but setting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just hate that. So yeah,
We'll see what happens.
yeah. I think Heidi is behind us in time. We greet you from the future, Heidi. But she's getting all the answers right, or she's just waiting till we answer and then putting the answers in here. That could be it.
Which is
Uh,
also,
yeah, that works. All right, question number 6. Disney enthusiasts were thrilled this week when the full trailer was released for which upcoming live action remake? Snow White, Frozen, The Little Mermaid, or Moana?
The Little
I
Mermaid.
have no clue.
It's a Little Mermaid. I'm almost positive.
Is it? All right.
I really think so.
All right, let's do it. Yes.
Yay!
New trailer for the live oh, that's right, yeah, because everybody freaked out because she's black.
Isn't she so pretty?
She is very pretty.
She's so,
Uh,
so pretty.
yeah, and I really don't care what color her skin is. Um,
She's just pretty. Like,
yeah.
damn.
So, yeah, new trailer for the live action remake of 1989's animated Little Mermaid debuted during the on
1989?
yeah, good god. Well, that
Oh,
makes me
wow.
old.
That one hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh, numbers are hard.
yeah. It was like the first time somebody sent me a invite to our 30th high school reunion, my first reaction was, "Fuck off." You know, like, that's like a decade away,
Rude.
like, "Well, you're way too early for that." No, yeah, I'm already 30 years past high school. Son of a bitch. Question number 7, the best college basketball teams from across the United States are going head to head for prestigious NCAA titles. What are the tournaments informally called? And you can get a guess based off of my screen name tonight.
I was like, context clues. Yay.
Context clues provided by me.
So I'm guessing they're not sad because they're
No.
enjoying. Did you guess wrong? Is that what happened?
Oh man, my bracket is all tore up. I was hoping Dan would be on. Well, Dan's doing well in our brackets. Mine is
Mm.
toe up. It's not pretty.
Well,
I
it's
think,
better than mine. Mine just crashed and burned. It's ridiculous.
yeah. So uh,
Ah.
it's sad, but yeah, it's March Madness. You didn't do one, did you?
No, I don't know what the fuck it is. I know what a bracket is when it's like the buzz doing, like rock bands against each other. So I assume that basketball's the same crap
Well, and then I lost
or
in the.
sports or whatever.
I did lose in the Bakertarians March Madness bracket to Archie Flower, which is fine because Archie has plenty of street cred.
Oh,
He was
I miss some of that stuff.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, no, you don't miss really much. I mean, it's social media is still a dumpster
Oh
fire.
no, Archie Flowers was hilarious because he would come to my defense and just shut a bitch down. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Like
Well,
just randomly out in the world, he'd be like, "Shut the fuck up." It's
Archie
amazing.
yeah, Archie, has street cred for me because he pissed off enough chuds that he got illegally removed as state chair of the, Libertarian Party of Vermont, so, way to go, Archie.
Way go Archie Love.
Yeah, piss off the right people, man. Um,
Yes.
alright, what number 8, which country announced it would fully reopen to tourists this week after 3 years of pandemic border restrictions? Canada, France, South Korea, or China. And I think that's where our context clue comes in. They look like China to us, right?
But yeah, that's what we had said. Well, we had
Yeah, it
said
didn't look
Asian,
like
but
Korean. The language on the board did not look Korean. It looked more Chinese. So,
that would be definitely a you thing, dude.
all right. Yes, China fully
See?
reopening to visitors, including tourists. The country resumed issuing all categories of visas for foreigners on Wednesday. We're going to be doing a couple weeks of hiatus, but one of the shows I'm going to re-air next week is my interview with my friend Adria, who spent a couple of years in China as a teacher and having to deal with the nastiness of what happened, and it's pretty unbelievable story of what she had to go through. So, yeah, Adria's show will air next week, and then we'll probably do I don't know what other show we'll do next the week after that, but we'll just have a little bit of a hiatus for a couple weeks while we get ready for uh, spring and all that fun stuff. I got to do some spring cleaning. Question number 9, which fruit holds the top spot in the Dirty Dozen list of non-organic produce with the most pesticides and probably the most taste? I'm gonna rule out grapes, 'cause that's more red. I rule out peaches because it's more red than at least what I'm seeing in the
Hmm.
background here. So it's between strawberries and apples.
I don't think they're red enough to be strawberries.
Yeah,
unless it's way far back, but even then, it's I don't know.
Oh, but Janice says strawberries.
Go with Janice.
All right. It's all hanging on you, Janice.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yay!
Yay,
I told
Janice.
you, trust Janice, man. She's a genius.
Yeah. All right. For another year in a row, the strawberries continue to hold the top spot of the Dirty Dozen list with the most pesticides, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced this week. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, I could see that more than apples. More apples have a more thicker skin, and strawberries probably absorb a lot more than apples. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still like strawberries. I'll eat some pesticides. Some pesticides for some strawberry shortcake for me, or pesticide shortcake, I guess. All right, question number 10. Which is the U.S.'s favorite dog breed, according to new statistics from the American Kennel Club released this week? Labrador Retriever, Golden Doodle, French Bulldog, or Husky?
I know this. I
You
know
know,
this. Like I read this. Are you pressed yet?
I'm very impressed. I'm gonna
Okay.
guess
It is
Golden Doodle.
no, it is the French Bulldog, which knocked Labrador
Oh,
Retriever out of first place for after like 31 years or some craziness.
very nice. Although, I mean, I feel
Look
bad
at its
about.
face and the
Yeah,
ears.
I feel bad though because I mean, a lot of the bulldog breeds are so inbred. I mean,
Overbred
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, have
yes,
you
totally.
ever if you follow the story, like University of Georgia Athletics has a live mascot, Uga. Um, those dogs are so inbred, and they don't last more than. I mean, I think the oldest one is like 10 years old. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
how
some of these
pitiful.
designer breeds are. Um, I mean, the designer breeds are good in that they're kind of bringing in new blood streams into these breeds, but Um, bulldogs have the issues with breathing and all that stuff, and yeah,
I like my mutt.
yeah. I mean, we have a we have a purebred cat. It's a Siberian, and the only reason we had to get, I mean, if my wife was not allergic to cats, and that's the only reason we had to get the Siberian because they're low hyperallergenic cats.
Which is
Um,
insane with all the hair.
the hair is not the issue when it comes to allergies.
The, the dander.
It's the dan there's a protein
Yeah.
in the saliva of a cat and dogs too, but, more so cats that when they, clean themselves, it gets in the dander and flakes off, and, Siberians produce less of it, and in some cases, not any of it at all, and it's to a level that my wife can tolerate Sophie, but, um, if my wife wasn't allergic, we'd probably have, like, 30 cats here, so, um they're expensive. They're expensive cats. That's the reason why we don't have more than Sweet Sophie, who hey, Sweet Sophie turns 10 years old, this week on
What?
Wednesday. So, yeah, she's a 10-year-old. She's double digits.
It's a whole
She
decade.
she acts like a teenager. Um, she is obstinate, and, but I spoil her, and I would never do anything but spoil her, so
Of course.
we'll have birthday pictures this week
Yay.
online, so check out my birthday pictures for Sophie. She'll probably be wearing something and looking miserable, so, check it out. Hey, we did a perfect week this week, 10
Yay.
out of 10.
Thank you, Janice.
Woo! Yeah, thank you for that one because I had
I think I'm more
strawberry.
informed. Like, we're gonna have
I
to
was
tell
I was
Dan.
leaning towards apple.
Huh?
Yeah, I was leaning towards apples on
I
that
was
one,
too.
so
I was too.
alright.
But no, we'll have to tell Dan because he was like, "It seems like you know more without social media."
This is true. I mean,
So,
you had the dog question down pat, so
yes.
I was going with Golden Doodle because it seems to be kind of the trendy dog.
It's so funny, there's trending dogs. Like, what a What a timeline we
Well,
live on. Like, it's just so weird.
oh my god, yeah.
I just can't do it.
Everything is just it's so crazy. You wanna hear a crazy story?
Do you have to ask?
Yes. Alright, let me get rid of this. We're gonna bring up something else.
Oh, yeah.
So our friends at Fakertarians, we're broadcasting on the Fakertarians channel, so I'm gonna give them some cred. Put this out the other night. This is a excerpt from an interview that the chair of the Libertarian Party, Angela McArdle, had with Tim Pool on the Timcast. Um, but I'm still trying to figure out how
By
to
crazy,
share.
you just meant libertarian. That's what you meant.
Well, I mean that's pretty much there, you know. All right. Um, hopefully y'all can hear this.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm not sharing. I brought it up, but I did not put it on the screen. There we go. This was should share the sound.
Because like there was a period where everyone had the exact same cough despite not being around each other. Like it was weird. All of a sudden on the same week, everybody was like, "I got this cough going on," and I'm like, "How come I'm hearing that from like 50 different people?"
Well,
Now I get it, viruses go around real quick or whatever, but some of these people didn't know each other, you know.
Yeah, the
So
100th. Oh, what are you saying?
I'll be careful how I phrase it because of where we're streaming to. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole on health, you can look into German New Medicine, which is a very different view of germ theory and virology and the whole thing with health.
Yeah, so that is our well, not mine, but the chair of the Libertarian Party, Angela McArdle, talking about something called German New Medicine. Now, German New Medicine came out uh, several decades ago. It was pushed by a German physician named Rika Geerd Hammer. Um, he was a former physician because in 1986 his license was pulled for malpractice. But he claimed that his method of Germanic alternative it was a Germanic alternative to mainstream medicine, and he said that mainstream medicine was a part of a vast conspiracy. Yeah, Craig was part of a vast conspiracy of of the Jews to decimate non-Jews, and part of it was that Jews don't take um, uh, don't do chemotherapy. They only give that to non-Jews. They don't take vaccines. They don't do this. They don't do that. Now, which is funny because one of the most vaccinated countries during the pandemic was Israel. Hypodermic needles. I mean, this is all part of his shtick was that hypodermic needles were used to plant chips into non-Jewish people for tracking and eradication purposes. Uh, you know, honestly, just absolutely disgusting uh, story. I can't say that I'm surprised because we know what we've seen from Angela McArdle. You know, whether it's posing in front of Russian flags, doing a anti-war protest while simping for the Russians, down to her entertaining Hotep Jesus and talking about, how Hotep Jesus is just a truth seeker, while Hotep just dumps out a bunch of anti-Jewish bullshit. Now, full disclosure, I'm not Jewish. I've got friends that are Jewish and lovely people, and whenever I see stupid shit like this, it just pisses me off
Mhm.
because the group has been so persecuted, and people that push this narrative out there that you know they're taking over the media or they're using medicine to kill the non-Jews. Uh, Complete horseshit. It's complete horseshit, and I can't say that I'm surprised that this you know load of shit came out of her mouth. Um, but Wish.com, Dr. Mengele here needs to step down as chair of the Libertarian Party. Now, if she did, I wouldn't rejoin the Libertarian Party at all. Like, it's just let it burn. But um, no one pushing that kind of absolutely asinine conspiracy theory about medicine needs to be in any position of political power, no matter how weak of a political power it is.
Well, when the Libertarian Party, not if, when the Libertarian Party burns to the ground, it is going to be because they are out there spouting this hateful bullshit and have
Yep.
gotten to such a point and have reached just the right mind. It's going to end in violence. It's going to be absolutely against anything that any of us ever wanted out of the Libertarian Party. It's going to be completely their fault because they are
Yeah.
going to be the ones spreading this message. And I sure hope, and this is weird for me to hope this, but I really hope that they are held responsible for their part
Yeah.
because it will happen. It's a
Well,
matter of time.
I think if you've been paying attention to any of the FAC stuff when it comes to the misnamed PAC and the LNC, um, and the coordination that's been going on and all that stuff, um, if the U.S. government wanted to, it could make life very difficult for a lot of people that deserve it. Um, yeah, John Waldenberger. Yeah, let her stay and let it keep burning. Yeah, I'm good with that. I just think that any honorable person, which I know that she is not, would do the right thing and resign. Um, but yeah, want the SPLC to classify them as a hate group? Absolutely. They put out that article before the convention, which I contributed to. Full disclosure, about yeah, Israel was 80% vaccinated, so yeah, it was absolutely stupid. This whole German new medicine crap, but um, yeah, if the SPLC classifies the Libertarian Party as a hate group officially, good on them. I won't
Pretty much.
here. I won't feel bad. It's what they deserve, and
No
somebody
regrets.
a lot of the folks that are some of the instigators of the takeover are now kind of doing this whole conciliatory thing about how the people that are angry at them just need to forgive and start working together again. They forget that they made the Libertarian Party such a toxic environment that people who are volunteering their time, money, and effort
Mhm.
uh, realize that what is going on was not worth their time, money, and effort. And it, well, you could dedicate like Dan doing Let Live, and whatever the hell I'm doing. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing besides this show. But people were finding alternative ways to advocate for liberty that doesn't require dealing with people who think that German new medicine is something that's valid, or want to cavort with people like Ryan Dawson or Hotep Jesus. I mean, I understand now. You can definitely understand now why they were so keen on getting the anti-bigotry plank removed from the platform of the party. Um,
Well,
so it allows people like these idiots and these views to be spewed by people in power of the Libertarian Party now.
the people in power of the Libertarian Party, and we
Power is
can
very
say in power
it's a very
because
loose term. There's no
it
real power in the Libertarian Party.
it's just a group of folks. Like it really is. They're not actually accomplishing anything. Um, at this point, it kind of feels like a reality TV show put on for all the people that left the Libertarian Party. It's like, what are they doing now? Oh, this is what they're doing now. No, they removed the planks. They know exactly what they did. They pushed enough people out. You're not going to get us back. How could you possibly get us back when you have done everything in your power to ostracize anyone that wasn't like, I don't know, willing to mistreat the workers, willing to mistreat anyone that wasn't going, yay guns and no mask, like, that was it for a minute, and now apparently we have to talk bad about Jewish people to be libertarian. Well, I didn't know any Jewish people till I joined the Libertarian Party, and I really like them.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not gonna talk smack about them. Why would I? Also, I'm a female. I was never fucking welcome in the Libertarian Party. Let's be fucking honest. Because the majority of women that I know that had any involvement at all have, at the very least, been sexually harassed. At the very least. Most of us more than once. Most of us, it was a continual thing. Also, there's the fact that they don't like gay people anymore. Like, that's the majority of my life. Why would we go back to a party that is so few people actually fit the parameters of what they consider a valuable person? No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm
It
gonna
was
read my banned books, and I'm gonna save my family from the bullshit Tennessee legislature that I told you about 2 years ago and got laughed at XCOM. So, no, Libertarian Party can absolutely kiss my ass.
nice. Yeah.
So, done.
I completely understand. And Heidi is chair of the Libertarian Party of Louisiana, and there are still good people involved and still good affiliates involved. Call out Texas as well. Um, if you're involved in those, the thing, and I know I've talked to Heidi about this, is just have a plan. Have a plan of what happens when this, you know, what happens if the Angela McCarter gets hauled off to jail for campaign finance issues, or they start doing some serious anti-Jewish stuff. Like I mean, that was serious enough for me. Like, I
Mhm.
can't believe people want to be associated with a national party that has a chair that spouts that bullshit. Um, but
If they
there's
didn't care yet, like, what is the line? What are they finally going to do that's gonna be like, "Oh, that's where we stop." Like, how far does it have to go
yeah.
before our friends that are still involved are like, you know, maybe,
I know that
maybe we don't wanna be associated with these people."
a lot of these organizations right now, especially the affiliates, are kind of stuck because while some states like New Mexico, Virginia, New Hampshire, or not New Hampshire, Massachusetts, did have the ability to break away from the Libertarian Party and disassociate,
Mm.
some other states don't have that ability, um, just based on their state laws and things like that. So I get wanting to maintain the organization, maintain whatever ballot access, but eventually it's going to get to a point where there does have to be a line that you say, okay, I can't be associated. Like for me, it became when they started talking about national divorce, and with my job, I can't be part of an organization that's touting secessionism because that's a bad thing. Like, and you're putting anywhere associated with the federal government, you start spouting that bullshit. Yeah,
Mhm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene can say that because she's a sitting congresswoman. But if you're just a worker, a contractor, a member of the military, anything like that, you're in a precarious position being associated with the Libertarian Party. Um,
Well, I
but,
can't be associated with the Libertarian Party the way that they're spouting and whatnot. There's no way that anyone with really any employer that pays attention can be associated with the Libertarian Party and it not be a deal. Hey,
Guys, I
what's
am
up,
so
buddy?
sorry.
no
I
worries.
just spaced it.
Oh, that's all good. It's the smartest Dan we know.
Yeah, that's nice. And I missed the quiz. How did y'all do?
10 out of 10, baby.
Yeah, so maybe it's better without me.
Janice helped us out.
That's
She
good.
she
Thanks,
scored
Janice.
one for us.
Thanks to everybody who's on the stream. I apologize for being delayed to you guys too.
So, wanted to get your thoughts, because I know you posted about this as well, and you're actually the one who informed me about what went down. But
Yes, please.
the chair of the Libertarian Party, Angela McArdle, going on the Timcast to spout anti-Jewish bullshit conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's not like it's anything that there can be any other explanation for it. Okay? Like
Yeah.
you can try to say, okay, well, maybe somebody's anti-immigration, but they're not racist because they're anti-immigration for because
Or
they're protectionist about American
yeah,
labor
yeah, labor.
or something like that. In this case, she's espousing a theory that specifically says that Jewish doctors are giving inferior medicine and trying to kill people who aren't Jewish. And I'm here to complain about her giving away the secret. Yeah, I mean,
We got away with it. It wasn't for those meddling libertarians.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
so ridiculous. Like, I mean, I honestly, I find it hard to believe that the rationale is truly anti-Semitism. But that's what this thing is. And so now the question is like, who's left to defend that? I mean, I still have friends who are working at LPHQ. I got to call them out on it a little bit because
Yep.
you can't stand with people that you can't stand. You just can't do it. I mean, there has to be something beyond it. And like there have been things along the way that we could complain a little bit about.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is too, it's such a pattern, right? And this is part of the pattern of removing the we condemn bigotry as irrational and repugnant.
Yep.
Yep.
It's part of the pattern of just a wide variety of things that have said of hiring somebody who defends Nathan Bedford Forrest, who's the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. It's been a consistent pattern along the way, and so they can say, "Oh, you're taking this out of context." It's not. There's only one context.
Yeah, what context are you missing here?
Yeah, and I mean, she hints at it along the way. She's like, "I'm going to have to be very careful about the way I say this, so I don't want to say the Jews are trying to kill us all. So instead, I'm going to say, look up New German medicine."
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And when you do
I'm not
that,
saying
it
it's
says
aliens, but it's
Chat
aliens.
GPT. How do I say?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so, I mean, at this point in time, people need to stop. They need to walk away from this version of the party.
Yeah.
If you feel like you still need to support the libertarian cause, do support your state party, but you cannot support national anymore when they are doing shit like this. It's the chair. Hey, Heidi, how's it going?
Hey, Heidi. Yeah, and she posted her affiliate, the Libertarian Party of Louisiana. And if you ever see Libertarian Party of Louisiana's social media and all their comms, top notch, fantastic. They hit libertarianism. They carry the right issues. They don't dabble in conspiracy theories. They don't dabble in race realism or German new medicine or anything like that. They're definitely a very good state party to belong to. Texas is the same way, but the number of affiliates that are decent are dwindling.
Yep.
And I think over the next year, you're going to see a big push from the national party to root out those recalcitrant state parties. So, whether by hook or by crook. So,
right. Well, we saw right that they approved $10,000 to prepare lawsuits against Massachusetts, Michigan, and I can't remember. But what's interesting about it is that Michigan actually is the one state that they definitely should not have sued, because the Michigan Libertarian Party has documented evidence to having been a party in 1972, predating the National Libertarian Party. Now, the Libertarian Party trademark was actually first filed for in 2000 when I was the executive director, we renewed the trademark in 2020. However, we understood that the trademark, is trademark doesn't mean nobody else can use a word, right? It has to do with the context. One of the most famous cases of this, of course, is that Apple Records, who of course produced the Beatles,
Yeah.
had the trademark for the word Apple in music. And when Apple, the computing company, wanted to start selling music via the iStore, they actually had to get permission from the Beatles, who owned Apple Music trademark, to do it. And of course, when I say permission, I mean just give them a lot of money. And in the Beatles case, it didn't even have to be a lot of money because the Beatles got unbelievably ripped off about their music. So
Oh, well,
just a little bit.
wasn't it owned by Michael Jackson at that point?
Michael
lot of it.
Jackson did indeed buy most of Paul McCartney's songs.
Uh,
But with the money from the Apple thing, Paul McCartney has bought most of them back.
oh, there you go.
So, so nice.
Michael Jackson doesn't need them anymore. So, I mean,
Exactly. So the Libertarian Party, the LNC, has a trademark for the phrase Libertarian Party as it pertains to national level politics.
Yep.
But they don't have it for state politics.
no.
And there can be different levels of libertarian parties. They obviously don't have it for other countries. They don't own the phrase Libertarian Party. It's just having to do with that party. And it's questionable whether or not you can trademark that anyway. You can't trademark certain ideas anyway. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party aren't able to trademark their party name because the word Republican and the word Democrat mean something other than just their party.
Yeah.
Now, Libertarian is the same way. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I do see the idea that there should be some organization in terms of saying what the Libertarian Party is, who gets to decide that. But the thing is, the LNC at the national level, they don't actually put anybody on any ballot anywhere.
No.
Just guys, there are no such things as national election. The president doesn't run across the United States. The president runs in each state individually. So it's the state parties that do it. So the idea that they have some party, some trademark that allows them to say, we represent all the libertarians in all the national elections. There are no national elections. So
Absolutely. And that is why he's the smartest Dan we know.
thanks. Let me just add out one other thing. Do you remember the basketball advice that I gave last week?
Yeah, about Princeton, right?
Yeah. Can't go wrong there, huh?
Yeah, I did wrong. I did go wrong.
Well, so you picked Arizona like most people did.
Yeah,
But I just want to point out, if you had made a $10 bet on the money line for Princeton to beat Arizona, you would have won over $100. So
not bad. Not bad.
not bad. I
Yeah,
hope everybody took that advice.
Yeah, listen to Dan. I mean, I'm not a big better at all because
You're a better.
I'm a better. I can't. This goes back to a conversation that Dan and I had this last week over text to speech from Dan. But yeah, I've been wrong so many times when it comes to sport. I mean, I'm a Sabres fan. I mean, I'm wrong professionally. Yeah,
Although the Sabres did have a pretty nice
Yeah.
victory the other night against the Caps.
no, they did not.
Oh, no. Sorry. The
Leafs.
Caps came back. I forgot.
Yes, and the Leafs. They the last time they won was the Leafs. Then they got boat raced today by the Bruins, which is not a
Well,
surprise.
The New York Times wrote something nasty about the Bruins, ever since which the Bruins have been on a tear again.
Well, they lost.
Had
They
like-
lost to Detroit and Chicago, and then people were like, "What's wrong with the Bruins?" I was like, "Well, they just clinched the playoffs. Like they, give them a couple days to rest up some bodies to get ready for the playoffs. So I'm not going to expect them to win 82 games here.
Right. Right, exactly. Well, and they already couldn't, right? They couldn't break the Canadians' record.
Yeah.
So that was, at this point in time, what are they playing for? The Panger, who infuriates
Aaron
me
Payne.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But has said that the Bruins actually probably do need to stumble a little bit before they get into the playoffs, because
No, absolutely.
there's nothing a Bruins fan fears more than you are the first seed in the playoffs. It's
Well, they're
like,
going to be the first seed in the playoffs. I mean, I think that just
they
even if
still will be.
yeah,
but
they're-
I'm happy that they're going to get a little adversity along the way,
yeah,
because they
but
have
not from Buffalo.
they've just been playing lights out. I'm happy. I'm happy with where the Bruins are. I'm excited to. I have a few friends in the area from Boston. We always get together for the Bruins games. And that's great because I don't go out to bars much anymore, and so be able to go out to a bar, watch some hockey. That's very exciting.
Watching a hockey game in a bar is a lot of fun.
Oh,
When the Caps had the Winter Classic a few years ago at Nats Ballpark, playing the Chicago Blackhawks, when they had a decent team,
Yeah.
we went to a bar on H Street in DC. There's a little shotgun bar called the Pug, and had a blast. It was a great time. We're getting
Yep.
hammered, watching hockey. Fun was had by all.
we my best sports bar experience was Game 7 when the Bruins beat Vancouver. It was in Vancouver, but it was in a bar in Boston
Yeah,
over by the Garden, and like it was packed. You couldn't get in. Like even like an hour before the game, they'd hit the fire marshal limit,
nice.
and we had friends who weren't there. I was able to sneak them in the back door,
Nice.
pretending that I was a cook, which was awesome. So it was already just a legendary night. And then the Bruins just, that was great. So I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, all the optimism of this season is dissipated for me as far as the Sabres go. So on to
Oh,
season 12 of no playoffs for the Sabres. And they'll address some things in the offseason as far as the team toughness. I don't know that they're going to get into season 13.
Here's the problem for the Sabres. There's only so much goodness that Buffalo sports can have, and the Bills are consuming it all right now.
That's not true, though. I mean, when the Bills were, still a very competitive team in the late '90s, Buffalo was very competitive with Donald
In the
Trump.
hot streak days, it's true. I can't deny that.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually they're going to be okay. Heidi, drop it in with the
Las Vegas shouldn't even have a hockey team. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Boo.
Needs this to be shared, please. Oh, let me see what it is. Actually, I can't. All right, I got to try. I can't even
It's
copy it.
John's page. He is the Telford
Yeah.
Borough Council meeting is tomorrow in Pennsylvania.
All right. Go and they're being dickbags, aren't they?
Yep.
All right.
My suggestion, John, is to make a tiny URL link for that, because then you can just say tinyurl/Telford. We can say it over the air, and everybody can type it in.
There you go.
Go on.
Oh, I wanted to. Let's see. We've gotten the Angela McArdle thing done. So I know we've talked about this before several times, but it sounds like this might be the week
oh,
we see indictments of Donald Trump. It's been ramped up. It's been hyped up. I won't believe it until I actually see them going to arrest him. But
It's weird that he said he was going to be arrested and nobody else did.
yeah,
Um,
well, maybe he's hyping. He's trying to do a show of force when it comes to a bunch of Trumpers descending upon New York City or descending upon Mar-a-Lago. Maybe it is a fake out to say, look, this is how popular I am. If the Republicans want to go with Ron DeSantis for president, well, then these are the people you're losing. And for me, I'm like, good riddance. I hope DeSantis loses too. But
yeah, it would be interesting if they were to indict him in Florida, but obviously this is state charges in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it is a little bit sketchy because the statute of limitations for what they're accusing him of is 5 years. It's been over 5 years. So I'm not sure exactly what they're planning on doing. I mean, are they going to indict him and then let him say, well, statute of limitations is passed, and then let him off? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or if they're going to they're trying to get New York or get Trump into New York so that when the federal charges drop, that's easier to get him out than.
You know what's really
Sure.
interesting to this about me? What's interesting about this to me? Have you seen Ali Wong's new comedy special on Netflix?
Mhm.
No.
It's unbelievable. So good. She talks a lot about the inequalities in life between men and women, and how really a lot of men are threatened by powerful women. And she talks about how she's like, how many men can say that they've had she uses cruder language than I'll use on the air, but have had relations with a woman who makes 10 times as much as they do. Very, very few, because men don't like that. They're panicked. Most men are scared of that sort of thing. So now for women, it doesn't matter. Don't care. But men can't do stuff like that. And then she gets
Certain men. I mean, I've seen there are lots of dudes who don't make shit and they mooch off of a woman all the time. So I mean, it's not true all the
There's
time,
some-
but
sure.
yeah, I get her point. though.
K-Fed and Britney Spears would be
Yeah.
a great example of that. But then she makes an interesting point. She said, we talk about sort of this discrepancy. It's like, in terms of power and wealth and stuff like that. How ridiculous is it that you can buy your way out of having sexually assaulted somebody? That there are settlements that people agree upon. We don't allow people to settle murder charges. You can't buy your way out of murder. What does it say about the way that the justice system is set up and the way that we think about crime against women, that we would say, oh, people can buy their way out of sexually assaulting a woman? It's ridiculous. I mean, I guess Kevin Spacey tried to buy his way out of sexually assaulting a man, but
Yeah.
it has to do with what we think about sexual assault. And so I actually think that we should reach a stage where we don't do that anymore, where settlements are considered to have no legal binding if your settlement involves not testifying about a crime.
Yeah, or a victimed crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you ought to be able to pay somebody to be quiet about some stuff, but not about the commission of a crime, and then maybe a crime with a victim, because then this wouldn't even be an issue, because Stormy Daniels could say whatever the hell she wants. There wouldn't have been any payouts, and we would all know what Trump had done.
Exactly. Well, and not just that, but I mean, on the back end, you can have, you can have settlements for restitution. This is hush money. There's a vast difference paying restitution on the back end versus hush money on the front end.
And let's be clear that it's hush money about something that we don't think should be illegal.
Yeah.
It's just hush money that he paid her. And the only thing that now, I mean, for me, that's part of my issue around this too. I don't actually think that anything that Trump did was illegal or unjust. I mean, it was against the law, but if you want to pay somebody to not tell about the fact that you guys had an affair together, that's fine.
It's how he did it. I mean, it's how he did it, and the fact that he used campaign funds to do it.
Right.
I mean, that's do it out of your own bank account, dude. Like,
Exactly. I mean, right. It's against it's that part of it again, it's sort of technical because I'm not a big
FEC,
fan of campaign
yeah.
finance laws, and so I don't really care. But it is still he did actually break the law, and so
Well, to me, it's to me in this sense is that it is a fraud in that he raised campaign funds to ostensibly campaign. So he took donors' money to give to someone to shut them up for a legal issue,
that's a
and
good argument.
that's fraud to me. Like, and
Mhm.
I think that's where you can say that's more of a victim crime because the people that gave him money are the ones who were victimized by the fraud rather than
That
uh,
that is a strong argument. I would
And
yeah.
honestly, he's more likely to go to jail for anything involving finances and campaign monies than he
Oh,
ever
yeah.
is for sexual assault.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the assault is much the issue. I think it's the hush money to keep her from spouting off to National Enquirer or whoever it was.
Well,
Right.
any of the
Oh,
suits that have been brought against him for sexual assault, there's been
yeah.
several.
Oh, yeah,
It's
there have been
never
several.
gonna happen. Um,
Um,
if those victims ever get anything, it's never gonna be justice. That's just not gonna happen.
well, I mean, I will say that, they have changed the law and that, statute of limitations on sexual assault has been waived in many states so that, you can seek justice. Now, whether you get justice is another issue, so, um, but I will say that, that I'm happy to see Trump starting to get charges. I don't know that this is gonna be the charge that does him in. And I heard, somebody asked me today online, is that going to stop Donald Trump from running for president? It can't. Lyndon LaRouche ran for president several times while he was in jail.
Didn't get to be
And
president, but then he was somebody's first lady.
Yeah, this is true. Uh, Joe Exotic just announced that he's running for the Libertarian nomination, which was another interesting story today. Angela McArdle was quoted by TMZ saying that we ought to send Joe Exotic some libertarian literature so he knows what he's talking about, which could be levied towards her as well.
Mm.
If we can get her address, we'll be happy to send her some literature as well. Um, but she made it sound like they were going to prevent him from do their level best to prevent him from running for president, which they can't really do.
Right.
Uh, it's the choice of the delegates. If the delegates at the 2024 convention say, you know what, we want Joe Exotic to be our standard bearer, absolutely better choice than Date Rate Dave, but probably not the best choice overall.
Yeah. No, I mean, the one interesting thing about it is that, of course, it does bring attention to the race. So,
Yeah.
to some extent, it's a good thing to have attention in the race, knowing that he can't win.
Yep.
But I don't want anybody carrying the standard of the Libertarian Party in 2024.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't think they're going to be on enough ballots to make it matter anyway. Yeah, I don't think if Donald Trump died in the middle of campaign, let's say he gets the Republican nomination and he kicks it like 2 weeks before the election, they're going to keep his name on there and they're going to try and elect him because,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean that's how they'll try and put Don Jr. in powers, even though it ignores the like maybe he's substitution or something along those lines.
right.
Scary, but yeah. Chase Oliver, Mike Termott, they're both running. Lars Mapstead is running as well. Of course, Dave Smith has not officially announced, but the Mises Caucus tells us that's going to be the nominee. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right, Dan. No, I don't want anybody running for the Libertarian Party in 2024. That just
right. Well, and remember there was that crazy
and Chase is one thing. I mean, I'll be okay with Chase, but
false flag where the Mises Caucus people said, "Come on, guys, let's everybody rally around Justin Amash." When, of course, they would never nominate him,
No,
and he's not going to run. So
no. Yeah,
Heidi Verman has said that he has apologized and left the Libertarian Party, and he apologized to everybody who let in.
I know a little bit more about that, but yeah, he's not going to be running for president under the Libertarian banner in 2024. But yeah, yeah. So I think that's it for the week. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? Dan?
I just want to apologize again to everybody for being late.
No, you're good. It's all good.
Oh, you're
AJ,
good.
IJ.
I do have something actually, something cool that y'all will think is cool as well. I got a message the other day of hey, a friend and I were talking, and we think we need to go see Billy Campbell in Pelham, Tennessee. And I was like, what? And so I watched the video, and it's Billy Campbell. And we're gonna do a Q&A. There's gonna be a trivia show with a sci-fi, fantasy, and horror movie trivia that night on April the 7th in Pelham, Tennessee. If you happen to be in the area, Billy Campbell will be in the caverns. So I think Evil Dead 2 will also be playing. So should be a good
Nice.
time.
Sounds like fun.
Oh
Sounds
yeah.
like fun. So we, like I announced earlier, we're going to be taking a couple weeks of hiatus. I'm going to be running some best of shows the next couple weeks. The China show with my friend Adria, running China, and I'll figure out the other show for week number 2. But we'll be coming back, and stay tuned to the Political Deep Dive on my Facebook page for announcements on our karaoke night. We'll be doing that very soon in April, getting that off the ground. Probably a Friday night. That work for you guys?
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll do a Friday night karaoke night on Zoom or Google Meet or.
I need a little bit of time to play to plan for that, because my April is a little full, but
Okay.
just give me a heads up.
All right. Well, that sounds good. So thanks everyone for watching this week, and we will talk to everyone in a few weeks. Have a good one, everybody.
Night, guys.
Bye.
I gotta find the graphic. There we go. All right. See you guys.